Hi everyone, welcome to my new YouTube channel. This is a first for me. I don't normally speak into a microphone or even sing into a microphone. I'm just a musician that plays keyboards. So you'll have to bear with me. This is all a little bit raw and rough and ready, and there'll be lots of mistakes. But anyway, this is my new YouTube channel. I'm a big fan of the 80s. It's got a big influence in the music that I play, the music that I write, and the cover songs that I play as well. I grew up in the 80s, so obviously that's probably the reason why. So as it's my first and a new YouTube channel, I thought the best way of sort of introducing it would be to introduce my synth rig, my keyboard rig, and show you the gear that I use. So I'll move right along and start quickly with this is my mixer, a Behringer. In fact, I ran out of slots, so I have another small little mixer plugged into the big mixer to give me some more slots. Next door we have 3 guitar pedals, actually, 2 reverb RV6 pedals and a chorus pedal. One of the reverbs and the chorus is connected to my Yamaha DX7, and that just makes it sound oh so sweet. Or my drum machine, this is a Behringer RD-8. I haven't had it that long, so I'm still getting used to it, but it's great. I mean, if you're playing 80s stuff, this thing is just perfect, and it kind of really complements the music that I do and I play, and I just love the way that its layout and how to use it. So yeah, that's a drum machine. I have a second drum machine, which is Alesis SR18. I'm also in a 80s covers band, and this is our drummer. And also it's our bass player, because you can program the bass into it. So we've spent months and months programming all our drum tracks into this, the starts, the stops, the fills. I've written every pattern personally. We've not used any of the patterns that were on it, so everything is unique, to try and get the drum track to sound as close to the original song as possible. So, and the same with the bass track. So there's a heck of a lot of work gone into programming our playlist into this, so much so that we bought a second one down there, and it's a clone of this one. So if anything does happen to this, we have a backup one, because I just couldn't go through months of work programming. Having that again, that would just drive me nuts. Looking up here, I've got my Behringer Model D and my Behringer Pro 1. I use these two guys primarily for sequencing, and I run them off on a Arturia key step, one for each of the units. So that gives me 2 different sequencers that I can run at the same time, and arpeggiators. And these key steps are just brilliant. They're incredibly good value, brilliant sequencer on it, and so versatile. And nice and small and compact. So if I'm just using them for sequencers, I don't need huge big keyboards. So they run these 2 guys. Moving over here, I've got, I'm getting rid of this guy actually, because I've got no more room for him. Surplus to requirements. It's a Roland DI. Again, I was gigging with that, so that's being retired, or sold I should say, because I have replaced him. Below that is my Arturia midi keyboard. That's connected up to Ableton. But it's also connected up to this little guy, and I love him to bits. It's a Waldorf Streichfett string machine. If you want rich late 70s, early 80s, and not so much tacky, because you can get all sorts of great sounds out of this, this is your guy. I first saw one of these being used by the keyboard player in Aha, and he had one of these in his live setup. So I researched it, found out what it sounded like. I thought, oh, I've got to have one of those, because it's so easy to use and it's so easy to program, and it's a brilliant, unique sound off it. And you've got all sorts of things going on there. Well, these are just some of the sounds I've programmed. So yeah, there's that. Down below, it's my big Roland System 8. Fantastic synthesizer. And it's also got the Jupiter 8 plugin and the Juno 106 plugin. It's just brilliant. So again, if you're playing 80s type stuff or you want an 80s sound, you got to have a Jupiter and you got to have a Juno. Simple as that. And this does both and some because it's got its own System 8 engine. And that can do some really cool stuff. Brilliant, brilliant piece of kit. Next down is the Yamaha Reface DX. I have this for live gigging. In fact, these three synthesizers here are used in my live gigs because these two guys are small. This gives me the DX7 feel when I'm playing our songs live because it's an 80s band. This gives me the analog feel. This is the Korg Minilogue XD. And also it gives me sequencing capabilities as well. An arpeggiator. And then underneath I have a Yamaha MX61, which is great. It's a nice light keyboard, easy to gig with. Some great sounds. I love the piano sound. In fact, there's some strings in that as well in the back of it. But great keyboard, nice and light, good sounds, and doesn't cost a fortune. Moving over here then, it's my Deepmind 12. Again, this really fills a Juno 106 slot and some because it's got fantastic effects built into this thing. And it's just so simple. I love synthesizers with buttons and knobs and sliders and twiddly bits. I'm not mad into menu diving. But great synthesizer. This doesn't leave the studio, this stays here. And my pride and joy, my old Yamaha DX7. I've wanted one of these for such a long time, and the opportunity came up not so long ago to get one that had been serviced as well, because I think this is something like 35 or 36 years old. This is the Mark 1. So I got it. And I love it. I mean, it's a DX7. Yes, it has some of the old cringy DX7 sounds, but if you're into, I love patch programming. It's okay. It's a little bit tricky. I wouldn't say it's impossible. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people say it is. I normally program it by knocking off all the operators and just working at one operator at a time and building up my patch that way. But its sound is unique, and again for an 80s feel to music, and also even a modern feel because they're very well sought after synthesizer at the moment. They're making a comeback. It's built like a tank, weighs a ton. That's why I wouldn't bring it on the road with me. But it's too old. It's retired. It's granddaddy now. So I think that's all. Just one last thing. As you may or may not have noticed, there is one rack empty. And that is because I have a new baby arriving, hopefully next week. A keyboard or a synthesizer that I have always wanted, as well as a DX7. And that's a Prophet synthesizer. So it's a Prophet Rev 2 sequential synthesizer. Can't wait to get my hands on that. They just sound so good, so versatile, so powerful. It can do a lot of stuff. It's analog, so it's got that searing analog pitchy sound I love, and I just can't wait for that to arrive. That's it. Once that comes, I'm not buying another keyboard, he says. Fingers crossed.